When you first arrive at the Egret Tours Marina, long before you ever turn it into a settlement, you find that it is inhabited by a woman named Phyllis Daly.
Kid, I don't know who you are, but you better clear out before I go haywire and blast you.
Go haywire? What do you mean?
It means I'm a synth, you numbskull. And if you don't take off, I'm liable to put a hole in your head.
What makes you think you're a synth?
Blackouts. People I've hurt that I don't remember. Any second now, they might send some signal, or I'll see the color orange, or whatever it is they do, and boom, one more dead fool. Now, are you gonna get out of here, or wait for them to make me kill you?
I don't want any trouble. I'm leaving.
Do you not get that I'm dangerous? Fine. Just do whatever you came here to do and get the hell out of here. And stay out of my stuff.
Crazy old coot. It's clear that something is troubling her. When you go upstairs, you find her personal terminal. This is something she explicitly tells you not to explore. Her terminal has 3 personal diary entries. In the first one, we learn that she left the last place where she lived because she almost killed a man. A friend named Wes tried to wake her up when she was having a nightmare. She was dreaming that metal radroaches were climbing under her fingernails and scurrying under her skin up to her brain. She woke up in a fright and leveled a gun at Wes's head. They managed to tackle her and calm her down, and they said it wasn't her fault, but the way they looked at her told her that she needed to leave. This woman is plagued by nightmares. In the second note, she actually records one of her nightmares. She stands in a watchtower looking over a field at night. She sees something from a distance carrying a lantern through the field of corn. She looks down the scope and sees that it's a Gen 2 synth holding someone by the wrist. She shoots the synth, killing it, but when she runs out to inspect the corpse, she instead finds the corpse of whomever the synth was dragging, and the synth is nowhere to be seen. She looks back up at the watchtower where she just came from, and she's standing there, leveling the gun at herself. A shot rings out. She dives to the ground, and her hands turn to metal. She sees her reflection in a pool of bloody water, and she tears her face to shreds. In the final terminal entry, we learn that she tried to commit suicide. I'll read it verbatim. I tried again to end it. I was out at the wharf trying to look through the fueling station when I glanced at the water. He was there in the reflection, my grandson, Samuel, and my arm was around him. Then there was a noise, and my reflection's eyes glowed red, and when it opened its mouth, there was static. Then the static turned into a scream, and it put a gun to Samuel's head and pulled the trigger. I can still feel some of the water in my lungs, but their programming won't let me end it. My body climbed to shore on its own. These dark nightmares tell us that something tragic must have happened to her grandson, Samuel. In the first note, we learn that she's a jumpy sleeper and that she sleeps with a gun next to her bed, a dangerous combination. In the second one, she dreams that she shoots a synth, but she in fact kills someone else. We can assume that it's her grandson, Samuel, since he shows up in the third vision. When she looks up at the sniper on the tower and sees that it's herself, this is her subconscious telling her that she deserves death and that she should kill herself. And then when she shreds her face with her metal hands, that symbolizes the synth within her, destroying her mind. In the third note, she has a vision of killing her grandson, almost as if she's possessed. And then she tried to commit suicide by drowning herself. When you exit the terminal, she comes up behind you.
I thought I told you to stay the hell out of my stuff.
I saw what you wrote about Samuel.
Fine. I guess you might as well hear the whole thing. My grandson Samuel and I were on our own since my daughter died. I managed to get us in on a farm. Hard on these old bones, but it kept us fed. I was on watch one night. I'm sitting there with a gun across my knees, looking out over the hill, and I think I fell asleep. It's just blank. The next thing I remember is the sound of a gunshot shaking me out of it. And Samuel is at my feet, and there's blood everywhere. Everyone came running out, but it was just me and Samuel. No raiders, no gunners, just blood. One moment he was there, and then the next, just gone. Those little fingers that used to hold my hand, and it's all my fault. You can't imagine what that's like. But I guess he wasn't really my grandson. They must have just given me those memories. Because who could have done that to their own flesh and blood? Now you know why I'm here, and why you need to leave before they make me kill again. I'm a synth, and I can't be trusted. Either I'm a synth, and they made me do it, or I killed my own grandson.
This is why I say that this is the saddest story in Fallout 4. I did a video called The Toymaker on the story of Arlen Glass. In that story, his entire family is killed in a nuclear blast, and that's an incredibly sad story. But Phyllis accidentally killed her own grandson. She was supposed to be keeping watch, but she gets tired and she falls asleep. She has one of her nightmares, and her grandson, worried about her, tries to wake her up. She wakes with a start and shoots him in the face, killing him. I don't know how you can go on living after such a horrible event. And clearly, neither does she. She invents this alternate reality where she's a synth and she doesn't have control over her actions. But as we all know, the Institute doesn't work that way. If you're a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, you have the option to execute her as a synth.
You've openly admitted to being a synth. As a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, it is my duty to see you purged.
The Brotherhood of Steel? You're welcome to try.
If you do, you don't find a synth component on her body. She's not a synth. The entire thing was an accident. She fell asleep, he tried to wake her, she accidentally shot him. Believing that she's a synth is a coping mechanism. At least that way, she's not wholly responsible. At least that way, she has someone else to blame. If she wasn't a synth, then it's really all her fault. She is fully to blame. She killed her grandson, and she can't blame anyone else. So she blames the Institute. She places herself in voluntary exile, because as a synth, she is a danger to everyone. This sad encounter has a variety of different outcomes, depending upon your actions. There are plenty of opportunities to be heartless towards her.
Whether you pulled the trigger or not, seems clear it's still your fault.
You think I don't know that, you little shit? And it's all my fault. You can't imagine what that's like.
You're right. I don't know because I've never murdered my own family before.
Fuck you. I didn't ask for you to pass judgment.
I wonder what's in here.
But there are a few opportunities to be kind to her. You can try and empathize with her by telling her the story of your own son and spouse.
I saw my husband killed, my son taken, and was powerless to stop it. I understand how you feel.
I didn't... I hope you find him. Family is the only thing worth a damn in this world.
And you can encourage her to join the Minutemen so that she can do some good with the rest of her life.
You're not a synth. It was just an accident.
Even if you're right, what does it matter? There's nothing left for me.
We need good people for the Minutemen. It won't change the past, but maybe you can help some people.
You'd still ask for my help, knowing what I've done? Look, I'm sorry I drew my weapon on you, kid. I think you're right. I gotta find a way to make peace with what happened, and I can't keep running from it.
As traumatic as this would be for anyone, it must be doubly traumatic for Phyllis. She's old, cantankerous, she has nightmares, she's hard to be with. She kills the only living relative she had who loved her. Now no one wants to be around her. Now everybody thinks she's dangerous, because she is. She doesn't want to be the cause of any more deaths, so she hides away, as far away as she can go, and pushes anyone away who even comes close. How long could she keep that up? How many years would she spend alone, by herself, each night struggling with new nightmares, each day contemplating suicide? How likely is it that she would ever find compassion? How could she possibly heal in this world? Ultimately, there are 6 different ways this encounter can end. After she reveals that she killed her grandson, she gives you control of the Egret Tours Marina. After a few weeks of in-game time, she leaves the settlement never to return. But she leaves behind a note, and this note is different depending on how you talked with her. If you respond with compassion, she apologizes for leveling a gun at your head when you first meet, and says that she thinks it's time she moves on. If you confide in her that you're looking for your son, she gives you her well wishes and hopes that you'll find him. If you're dismissive of her struggles and tell her to just move on, she does exactly that, she just moves on. But she says she doesn't know what she's gonna do. If you encourage her to join the Minutemen, she tells you that she doesn't think the Minutemen are quite for her, but that she really thanks you for everything you've done to try and help her, and that based on her interactions with you, she's still going to try and find a way to do good in this world. If you agree with her that she's a synth and refer her to the railroad, she tells you that the railroad actually showed up to the Egret Tours Marina and are helping her get a fresh start. And finally, if you tell her that even though it was an accident, she's still responsible for her actions and she needs to toughen up and move on, she thanks you for the quote, wake-up call and appreciates your tough love. Regardless, she leaves the Egret Tour Marina forever. I'm sad that she leaves forever, especially if you choose the Minuteman outcome. I would have really loved it to incorporate her into one of my settlements, to provide her with a warm bed, certainly not assign her to a guard post, but give her a community where she can heal and feel accepted for the rest of her life. I'm sad that she leaves no matter what option you choose. I think the railroad ending is also a good one, because at least in that ending, she has people who are taking care of her. I hate the thought of her being alone somewhere. After everything she's been through, and after the loss of her grandson, her last living relative, the thought of her spending the remainder of her days alone in the wasteland is really tough. That's hard. So at least with the railroad option, she's spending her days with people who are looking out for her. The heartless options just turn her aggressive, forcing you to kill her. And obviously I'm not fond of those. I really appreciate that Bethesda gave us so many options with this little side story, and that your choices really do make a difference on this person's life. But as a father myself, this is the saddest moment in the game for me. As tough as it was to listen to Arlen Glass and his story, because losing a child is unimaginable, the thought of being responsible for a child's death, I just can't even process that. When you do get this settlement, try not to scrap the terminal on the second floor. If you do, those unique stories about Phyllis Daly are gone forever. And also don't forget to get the copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide on the counter inside the fueling station. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is, as far as I'm concerned, the saddest story in Fallout 4. But I'd like to know your opinion. What did you think about this really tragic side story of Phyllis Daly? Does it hit close to home? Can you relate to Phyllis in any way? Or do you believe that she doesn't deserve compassion because of what she did? Let me know in the comments below. I publish a new video every single day of the week, so please subscribe to see what I publish tomorrow morning. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to my private Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so glad that you're here watching this video. Thank you for watching from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning with a brand new video.